Well, the Missouri legislature actually got it done. I didn't know if it was going to happen, but it came down on Thursday. The legislature passing an expansive K-12 education bill that includes school choice, raises for teachers as well. There's a lot in here. Corey DeAngelis has become one of the biggest school choice advocates in the country. He's a senior fellow at School Choice Now, and he's got a new book out that is getting great publicity, as it should be. It's actually set to come out here in just a couple of weeks. The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radicals Ruining Our Schools. That is set to come out here next month. Corey DeAngelis on KCMO Talk Radio. Corey, things are moving along in Missouri. What encourages you the most about what they got done here in the Show Me State?
Well, obviously, school choice. They expanded the existing private school choice program in Missouri from a couple of counties to all counties throughout the state. So the program no longer discriminates on the basis of geography. So no matter where you live, you can apply to take your kids' education funding to a private school if the government school isn't working for you. They also expanded the amount of funding available for this program. It's a tax credit funded program, but they had a cap on the amount of scholarships that could be available. I believe they at least increased that by 50%. So this is a huge win. It's a big step in the right direction towards expanding education freedom. And hopefully Missouri one day can join the ranks of other Republican-led states, 11 of which have gone all in on school choice, meaning everybody's eligible regardless of income, background, zip code. 11 states have passed universal school choice, all Republican states. So Missouri, this was a big step in the right direction. It's not the big enchilada. It's not utopia, but hey, we can take the W. We should take the step in the right direction. It's a big win in Missouri.
You know, you see a lot of this, and one of the reasons it hasn't gotten there in Missouri is in part, interestingly, because of rural Republicans who insist that, you know, their local public school is I guess the place where, of course, community comes together, in school, out of school, football, extracurricular activities. And I guess they're fearful, I don't know, that somehow they could lose that. What would you say? Are you hearing that in other states, or is that unique to Missouri? What would you say to that?
That is not unique to Missouri. Every single state has rural areas. And guess what? Over 30 states in the country already have some form of private schools choice. In fact, the 9 most rural states in the country, if you look at Census Bureau data, I wrote about this at the Wall Street Journal recently in at least 2 articles in the journal, pointing out that as measured by the percentage of the population living in rural areas, the 9 most rural states already have some form of private school choice. So that includes West Virginia, which is more rural than Missouri. West Virginia was the first state to pass universal school choice, going all in, making everybody be able to take their kids' education dollars to the school that works best for them. But this is a convenient excuse for so-called Republicans in deep red areas to side with the status quo and with their Democrat allies to lock kids in schools that aren't working for them. And they really reveal themselves with their main 2 arguments they'll say in rural areas with rhinos who will vote against their own party platform. They'll say, 1, well, we don't need this. This isn't going to benefit my constituents, they'll say, because, well, we don't have any private schools. They'll actually say, quote, the public school is the only option. And then the next breath, with a straight face, they'll try to say, well, this is going to destroy my fantastic rural public school because everybody's going to leave. And, well, first of all, there's 2 problems with that argument. 1, if no one's going to leave, well, then your public school is not going to lose any money at all. You should be the last person arguing that it's going to defund your school. And then 2, you're saying that the public school in your area is fantastic, that this is an urban problem. If that's true, well, then you should be confident in your public school's product. They should have nothing to fear. And again, you should be the least worried about competition in your area. But at the end of the day, this is a win-win solution. The public schools do up their game in response to competition. We have tons of evidence on this. 26 to 29 studies find public schools improve in response. It's a rising tide that lifts all boats. And think about Florida. Florida has rural areas, and we have data from Florida, and I wrote about this as well, that since they've expanded school choice over the past decade, the number of private education providers in the most rural counties in Florida have at least doubled. And so when you build it, they will come. You give the money to the hands of the families. Well, guess what? Supply meets demand, just like it does in any other area. And this is an excuse. It's not a legitimate argument. It hasn't been an impediment in other states, and it's not gonna fly much longer in Missouri either.
Corey DeAngelis on KCMO Talk Radio. What about just with the teacher shortage that exists in Missouri and elsewhere? How has that been combated in some of these other states where they've advocated and gotten more school choice done than even what's likely to come to Missouri? Has that been a problem with, as you note, more private options existing? Where do they get the teachers from?
Yeah, well, the teachers, their kids are still there. They're going to need teachers. They're either going to be in the public sector or the private sector. So this is not a destruction of jobs. If anything, it's a transfer of jobs. But at the end of the day, we haven't seen public schools be dismantled or dissolved in any way as a response to school choice. They've gotten better. And in fact, the one-size-fits-all monopoly system has no incentive to pour money into the classroom. So, I mean, you look over time, this is a trend in Missouri too, but I have the data out of the U.S. across off the top of my head. But since 1970, per student education expenditures in the U.S. have increased by about 160%. That's after adjusting for inflation. Over the same period, the teacher salaries, while the spending has gone up by 160%, the teacher salaries have only gone up by about 10% in real terms. So the monolithic monopoly that has no incentive to spend dollars wisely, what do? Well, when they get more money, they buy more administrative positions. It goes towards administrative bloat, staffing surges. It doesn't go towards the people in the building, which is great for the union bosses like Randy Weingarten who make over $500,000 a year, but it's not good for the teachers who are doing a good job. The school system is not just a monopoly, though. It's also something that economists call a monopsony, where there's not a lot of competition for employees. So guess what? When you introduce competition in the labor market, just like competition in the market for goods and services, it's not only benefiting the families who get more of a choice, it benefits the employees. And we found in 5 studies that exist on the topic, these are the only studies that exist on the topic, they've all found that private and charter school competition actually leads to higher teacher salaries in the public schools. So this isn't just a win for the kids and families. That's the most important win to me, but it also has the side benefit of helping the employees too.
That's awesome. Corey, this book that's set to come out here next month, The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radical Ruining of Our Schools. To me, it was one of the few silver linings that came out of our handling of COVID. This woke a lot of parents up. It has been a silver lining over the last 3-4 years, and I assume that is part of this book that's coming out next month.
That's right. We talk about how the teachers unions overplayed their hand and awakened the sleeping giant, which happens to be parents who want more of a say in their kids' education. It's already available for pre-order, and guess what? The teachers unions are already calling to burn it. Yes, we had a teachers union executive board member in Wisconsin, actually, lefties out there, called to burn the book. I mean, the same yahoos who said that the conservatives were the ones that were banning books by saying that the curriculum should be age appropriate and we shouldn't have sexually explicit content in school libraries. These are the same people who are calling to burn the ideas of adults that they don't like. I mean, so that should just tell you that it's a threat to the status quo. It's a threat to the union bosses. And that's probably a good reason to order it today. And it's available everywhere. It's on Amazon. It's if you just Google The Parent Revolution, you'll find it.
There you go. Great stuff. Corey DeAngelis. Corey, thanks for joining us in Kansas City after what's been a big few days on this front. We always appreciate your time and insight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Pete.
You bet. Corey DeAngelis, great work. The book, The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radicals Ruining Our Schools.